Happy Friday, everybody. Friday starts the weekend, and we are here to make your weekend a profitable one through the props betting market. I am Andy Lang from WagerTalk.com. Joining me, as always, my fellow prop master, Matt Josephs from SportsMemo.com. Andrew is traveling the wonderful world today, so he will not be joining us. So you get a double dose of myself and Matt Josephs. We're going to go over some baseball props. We're definitely going to go over the NFL schedule and see if we can try and figure out some ways to get the season started off on the right foot. You got to start your research early in NFL, so you're ready to go for week one. And then we got best bet at the end of the show. Matt, let's just start off with baseball. You do a great job of telling us your pitcher and your hitter facts. So last Friday is when we last talked to you about baseball. What do you know right now for K props, pitcher props, things like that in baseball?
Well, your two biggest streaky teams right now are the Dodgers, who have gone under in 15 of their last 17 K prop. Bailey Ober and Taijuan Walker, the two guys who've gone over against the Dodgers over that span. So 15 to 17 is pretty crazy. And I really do think this is contagious. Like last year, doing these spreadsheets that we do with regards to basically just logging all the K props, you really do notice that teams go over for a long stretch and then teams go under for a long stretch. So Dodgers 15 of 17. They're facing Steven Matz today of the St. Louis Cardinals. And then the Rays have gone under in 14 of their last 16 K props. Mitch Keller and Kodai Senga, the two pitchers who have gone over that span, and the Rays are facing Adrian Hauser. His number is 3.5, and he's not really a strikeout pitcher, so maybe you want to look at the under once again for the Tampa Bay Rays. My Philadelphia Phillies have gone under in 21 of 30 games against right-handed starting pitchers with regards to the K props. I still don't trust them. I don't care, that the numbers tell me that they're not striking out a lot. They're facing Marcus Stroman today. His number is 4.5. I still kind of lean to the over, even though the numbers tell me to look at the under here. The Dodgers have gotten 12 innings from their last 4 starting pitchers. So eventually somebody's going to have to eat the innings coming up. Could it be Tony Gonsolin tonight? I don't know. But the last 4 games, Dodgers starting pitchers have only gone 12 innings, and it's pretty ridiculous. They've had to cover a lot of stuff. Obviously, yesterday, I believe, they gave up, 27 runs to the Cardinals, it felt like. So we'll see if that changes today. And then the final thing, once again, I love looking at those team totals for the first 5 innings. 3 teams that have huge discrepancies. The Minnesota Twins averaging 3.36 runs per first 5 at home, only 1.86 on the road. The A's, we talked about it last week, 1.6 runs per game at home, 3.25 on the road. They're on the road tonight. Hint, hint. I'd take a look at the Oakland A's over 1.5 runs tonight in Houston against the Astros. And the Cincinnati Reds, who are home tonight, 3.48 runs per first 5 innings at home, 1.82 on the road. So that could be something to look at tonight as Cincinnati returns home against the Yankees, a game that could certainly see a ton of runs this evening.
Great stuff. Matt Josephs from SportsMemo.com. If you want all of his baseball plays, go find him at SportsMemo. I wanted to talk about the Lakers and the Nuggets and talk about some player props for the first couple games that you should keep your eye on, things that have been hitting and things that have not been hitting. The first biggest one is just going to be this Jokic rebound prop. I mean, the guys had 21 and 17 in the first couple games, and it really doesn't look like there's a lot of rebounding from the bigs on either team. I mean, besides Anthony Davis and Jokic, it's just down to it's down to LeBron had 9 last night. Michael Porter had 7, but then you look, Jamal Murray's getting involved. He's got 10 rebounds. So, I mean, it's Davis and Jokic for the rebounds props. I had Kentavious Caldwell-Pope last night over his points, rebounds, and assists. Very unlucky. He gets 2 fouls in the first minute 30, and they bench him. So he plays limited minutes. He still gets to 13. His points, rebounds, assists total was 15.5. He only got 13 in limited minutes. I would go right back to him as that was such an anomaly. Austin Reeves, if you're a same game parlay player, Austin Reeves, they keep having his lowest point total in the same game parlay at 10. So if you want to, it's kind of the bingo free space. It's for same game parlays. It's Austin Reeves over his points. This guy has 20 plus each game. Also his over his made 3-pointers works really well. And then the other one that's kind of interesting, I don't know how long the books are going to keep putting him up, but Lonnie Walker just doesn't really fit into this series. They had his point total at 9.5, I believe, in the first game he didn't get over. They had it at 7.5 last night. He only had 2 points last night. So Lonnie Walker under would be a good way. And I don't know what the books are going to do with Jamal Murray's numbers, but when he gets going, the Lakers truly do not have anybody that can stop him. So I don't know if I can't say all these plays are going to hit every single game of the series, but Jamal Murray over his points, Jokic over his rebounds, Austin Reeves over his points and 3-pointers, and you can also throw. I would also throw LeBron under his made 3-pointers. Guy's just ice cold from threes. Yet my worry is that he just keeps taking them. I mean, it was 0 for 6. At some point you got to wonder, like, hey, can you stop shooting the 3-pointers? But it's LeBron, so he's going to do what he wants to do. So I worry about the volume, but he's just not hitting them. So those are a few props I think we can look towards for the Lakers and the Nuggets. All right, Matt, let's get into let's talk NFL schedule. The NFL schedule obviously came out. I'm from Indianapolis. Matt is from Philly. I'll just kind of politely say our teams are on different trajectories right now. Matt's team is fighting for a Super Bowl. We're trying not to get our new quarterback killed on the field and have him emotionally scarred in the first season. So let's just take a look, Matt, at what do you think about some of these schedules that come out? Anything that jumps off the page to you, good, bad? What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you this, Derrick Henry during the fantasy football playoffs has like Houston twice and I believe another really easy team. So Derrick Henry is going to be somebody. Then again, I mean, look, if you're Tennessee, I mean, do you consider trading Derrick Henry if you're going nowhere and
trade him.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean,
get him out of the division. I'm sick of him running for 200 yards on us.
So you're being sarcastic, but like seriously though, I mean, if you're Tennessee,
seriously, you trade him.
I mean, I'm just saying you potentially look at that sort of thing. The Eagles have one of the toughest stretches I think I've ever seen in the history of man. They play at the Chiefs, they host the Bills, they host the 49ers, and they play at the Cowboys over a 4-week stretch, and then play at Seattle in that 5-week stretch. And they have a bye before the Chiefs game, but the Chiefs also have a bye, so that doesn't really help them very much. So I thought that was rather interesting. I don't know what stuck out to you with regards to any sort of schedules that you looked at.
Well, the number one is the Patriots. Jumping out as having the hardest schedule. Right now, their win total is under 7.5, and I would absolutely take the under. I mean, there's really no really big stretches of easy games. I mean, they start off with you guys, then they get Miami in week 2. I would assume Tua is healthy for that one. Then they got to go play at New York and Aaron Rodgers, then at Dallas. They're home to New Orleans. I'm assuming New Orleans is going to be better than this year. Then they get Vegas. And then they turn around and they get Buffalo, they get Miami again, and that's at Miami. So I'm assuming they're going to have to deal with the weather, which always affects New England teams. Their next 2 games are gettable, Washington and Indianapolis, but then they have their bye week, and it's brutal. They come back with at Giants, home to the Chargers, and then at Pittsburgh, Chiefs, at Broncos, at Bills. And then their final game of the season against New York. Who knows what that game means? But it's a brutal schedule. There's only a few kind of really obvious winnable games for them. And then the rest are either toss-ups or they're going to be underdogs. So that stuck out to me. And then I guess the other thing is when you're ranking these, toughest schedules, 3 teams in the top 5 of hardest schedules in the same division. So you have the Bills, Patriots, and Dolphins, and the other 2 are in the AFC West. So the strength of schedule is clearly saying that the AFC is going to be tougher. And I will say, Matt, I have no idea what to make of the NFC South. I have no idea what is going on in that division or how to project it or what players I want to. I actually had notes written down here about taking the Tampa Bay Bucks under 6.5 because I don't believe in Baker Mayfield, and I think it's a massive drop-off. But their schedule is so easy because their division is such a wreck that I don't really know what to expect. I will say I'm going to be playing this one probably in week 1 and for future weeks, hoping to get the right number, but I will definitely be playing it as a season prop. This is the Mike Evans under receptions. I don't think Baker's game with Mike Evans' game meshes well at all. And Mike Evans can get frustrated, and this is a guy who was playing with Tom Brady. Imagine what happens when Mike Evans gets open on a deep pass and Baker misses him or can't throw the ball there. So I think this is a miserable year for Mike Evans and the Tampa Bay offense. So those are a couple of takeaways that I had. You mentioned the Eagles. Any other teams you think are got a gift on a schedule?
Well, I'll say this, and I'll kind of tie it into, I wanted to branch off into some player props here, Andy. The Jets, according to a lot of people, have a very favorable schedule in terms of they're playing more teams with more rest. Them and the Commanders actually have the biggest advantage when it comes to having more rest than their opponent, whether it's a day, 3 days, 7 days, whatever it is. And so, we're going to see the Jets more in prime time. And so, Andy, I'm looking on DraftKings here. And I feel like they've inflated all the numbers for a lot of the Jets players. Aaron Rodgers, 4,050.5 passing yards is the number there on DraftKings. And the other guy that I think is interesting, and I certainly would love your thoughts here, Garrett Wilson, I think we're just assuming is going to have a big year. 1,150.5 receiving yards, 8.5 receiving touchdowns are the numbers here, Andy. And I wonder if them bringing over Lazard, and I wonder if them bringing over Randall Cobb, and then having so many other mouths to feed in that offense, is there going to be a dominant player in the Jets offense? Do you think these numbers are a little bit too high because we're just buying into the Aaron Rodgers hype?
100%. I was with you on Garrett Wilson. You beat me to the punch on that one. That's a clear under for me. I mean, it wasn't like Aaron Rodgers was, airing it out and, slicing and dicing for every single game last year. Now it's a new offense, a new team, new situation, and he likes familiar faces. I'm sure him and Garrett Wilson will eventually get on the page, but the other thing is any type of injury to Garrett Wilson, if he misses a few games, and this bet is going under as well. So when I do season props, I really only look towards unders. I may have a couple of overs, but I like getting the unders because you always have the injury. Obviously, we're not hoping for an injury on anybody, but even if he plays all 17 games, I think it's under. Can't you see a situation where Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers just don't quite get along? Like, if Garrett Wilson runs a couple wrong routes in the first couple weeks, Aaron Rodgers just doesn't want to throw him the ball a little bit more. I'm fully on board with unders on some of the Jets.
Well, yeah, and he had 1,103 yards receiving last year, and he had 4 touchdowns with Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco. I feel like, Fireman Ed, they were all his quarterbacks last year. So that I could see why we're putting the high numbers up, but we're just assuming chemistry. Now, he did have a game with 8 yards. He had a game with 12 yards. He had a game with 18 yards. So, the people who say take the over would say he's had some bad games last year and still had 1,100 yards. But I'm just assuming that we're going to get chemistry. And man, it's funny, Andy, because on the other end of the spectrum, they have really low numbers on Odell Beckham. And if Lamar Jackson and him hook up, he could go over some of these numbers by halfway through the season.
Well, it's interesting you bring him up because the other one that I wanted to take was the under 3,625.5 on Lamar Jackson. I don't know. This is a guy that's gotten over 3,000 yards once. This is a guy that hasn't finished the season a few times. He just got his, brand new contract. I don't know if he's more motivated to play now that he's gotten his money or less motivated to run. But I mean, I'm looking at a guy, last year, 2,242 yards passing. The year before that, 2,882. The year before that, 2,757. He's not come close to this. His best year was 2019, where he had 3,127. So you have to take his absolute best year and then add 500 yards to it. So I don't know, man. I don't see it. And you look at the games played. Here's his career: 16, 15, 15, 12, 12. Maybe he plays more than 12. I don't know if he's guaranteed. But again, the injury concern with this, I have this as my number one under, Matt. What's your thoughts on Lamar? You mentioned Odell, but you think Lamar can even get close to this 3,600? I don't.
I think the one thing is, and you may have to refresh my memory, didn't they change offensive coordinators this offseason? Maybe we can look that up, because I know last year's his previous offensive coordinator really leaned more into his running ability. And if there is a different offensive coordinator that wants him to throw it more, now I don't think that they're going to make him a true pocket passer or anything like that, but maybe a change in offensive coordinator. And I could be completely wrong, and we could strike all this from the record. But I think there's a change in offensive coordinator, and maybe that's why this number's a little bit higher, Andy.
Yeah, that could make sense. I look at the games played and I'm going, man, last 2 years, 12-12. Okay, he wanted to hold out for his new contract. Okay, he got it, but I don't know if he is in the mood to fight through injury right now. And even if he does have, I'm not saying his injuries aren't legitimate or anything, but those were towards the end of the season. If he has one in the middle of the season or at the beginning of the season, this prop is toast. So,
What about the
any other?
rookies? What about the rookies? C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. Like the Bryce Young thing, and I always find this funny, Andy, when they put these numbers up and then automatically juice them heavily to one side. Like if you think that you put a bad number up, or if you have a idea, why wouldn't you adjust the number? Bryce Young is 3,750 and a half yards, but it's already juiced minus 150 to the under. If you look at the rookie quarterbacks last year, now none of the rookie quarterbacks last year came in week one. We're going to assume that Bryce Young might be the quarterback week one, but what if he's not? If he's not the quarterback week one, and you have 3,750 and a half passing yards, I mean, to me, it's a lean to the under, even at a minus 150, although I don't love tying up my money that long on a minus 150. What do you think of the two rookies that DraftKings have offered, C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young?
Well, with Bryce Young, I think he gets the benefit of this division. That again, I keep harping on this division. I don't think this division is very good, and he might actually have some pretty decent games in this division. Tampa, their Achilles heel on defense was the secondary. New Orleans Saints, they had an okay defense, but I don't think their secondary is anything to write home about. And the Falcons aren't stopping anybody. I think he's got real chances in that division, but I'm certainly not going to take the over on a rookie quarterback because you're going to have a couple of just horrific games where if the defensive coordinator figures him out real quick and he throws for 112 yards. I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, early in the season he has to go to at Seattle. I don't like that matchup. He does have some good matchups in the middle: Houston, Indianapolis, Chicago, Tennessee. I mean, you look up and down the schedule; it is gettable. Again, I just worry: is he going to play the whole time? And what happens if he's bad and they have to bench him for a little bit? So I would stay away. And I'm with you. I'm not laying minus 150 on a season long prop.
By the way, and this is not to embarrass anybody, and I'll give the YouTube people, and we love our YouTube followers, and thanks so much for watching. Do you know, Andy, who the top two wide receivers are in Carolina this coming season?
Oh my God. Well, let's see here. DJ Chark.
There last year.
DJ Chark is one of them, right?
Yes, he is.
DJ Chark is there. There was the guy who they kept putting his passing total like 18 and a half yards. Terrence Marshall. Terrence Marshall was a guy that I kind of liked last year because they kept putting his receiving total at like really low and he could get it with one. So I know DJ Chark and Terrence Marshall, but I think so. I think so. Is that it?
The number one is Adam Thielen.
Oh my God. I forgot they got Adam Thielen. Oh no.
So, I mean, you look at that group there, and then Laviska Shenault presumably is your 4, Shi Smith is your number 5. Maybe a rookie comes into play here. And you have a brand new offensive coordinator, a guy who was a tight ends coach, and you've got a rookie quarterback, and you've got Miles Sanders. I feel like it is, and Chuba Hubbard. It's just, and Andy Dalton's there. I feel like it's an under, Andy. So like now I'm kind of weighing the minus 150, but like even if Bryce Young, like who's he throwing to, and what is he doing in this offense?
It's a great point. I didn't. I knew it was bad. I didn't realize it was. I mean, it was this bad. I mean, I don't think there's any blue chippers on there. So, I mean, maybe it's one of those where the defenses don't know how to prepare for Adam Thielen and Terrence Marshall and Laviska Shenault. Maybe you never know. Maybe they have some surprises. Well, I always want to take the unders on the season. So I know what you're saying though, to tie up your money on a minus 150. That being said, if it cashes, and it's a winning bet. So. Yeah. The other one I wanted to ask you about, Jimmy Garoppolo, 3,650 and a half yards. I mean, he's an injury waiting to happen, right? Like, what are the odds Garoppolo makes it through a full season and gets over to 3,000? I hate playing the injury card on all these, but I mean, it's a really good moneymaker to take these injury prone players and just take their season long totals under. Like, you don't have to overthink it a whole lot, right?
The only thing for him is Devontae Adams is good for what, 1,500? I mean, alone.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
obviously, we don't know who it's going to be. Jacoby Myers is good for 800 ish. Although now that he's actually in a legitimate offense, maybe they actually get him involved more. Hunter Renfrow is good for 700 ish. I'm trying to see here. So their new tight end is Austin Hooper, but they also drafted Michael Mayer, the Notre Dame kid, and they have OJ Howard. Like, I would say it's a high number, Andy, but like weapons wise, I could see him doing it if he stays healthy. Now that the health is a factor here. I don't know too much about their offensive coordinator, Mick Lombardi. He's been their offensive coordinator since the 2022 season. So clearly he does like to throw. We know Josh Jacobs won't add very much in terms of the receiving. Weapons wise, Andy, I think there's a chance for the over, but yeah, the injury factor there certainly makes him a very worrisome bet if you are looking at the over.
Yeah, I can't trust Jimmy Garoppolo. I like him. I like his talent. I think he's, I think he's severely underrated. I can't believe teams haven't been lining up to try and get him. I mean, his personality is great, great locker room guy. He has his faults, but man, I just think he's so much better than some of these other retreads that they keep putting out there. So, interesting stuff. One more. All right.
What's your Bijan thoughts? Bijan 1,100 yard, the 1,100.5 yards and 8.5 touchdowns. I mean, when he came out of the draft, Andy, I wanted him to be an Eagle first off, but like we just assume that he's Tony Dorsett, he's Bo Jackson, he's all these guys, and in that offense, we know they're going to run the ball a lot, Andy. But don't you think Atlanta's going to see a lot of 8 and 9 man boxes?
Yes, way too much hype. The number is way too it's way too high. There, of course, teams are going to stack the box, and then also, I know that rookie running backs, do well when they come into the NFL. It's a pretty easy transition. It's not like tight ends where you see rookie tight ends struggle all over the place. But I mean, so we're already just going to pencil him in for 1,100 yards. Like he doesn't get wore down. And that's not rushing and receiving. That's just rushing. He's not the only guy there. I mean, I'm sure they want him to be the only guy there, but not really sure that they're going to run him into the ground in his first year. I have this is an under too. I know he's talented, but I think he does some damage in the air. I think that they rotate multiple backs in. I mean, they were a purely running team last year. I'm sure they're going to throw the ball at least a little bit more. But again, I go back to this, that division that they're in. It's pretty easy. I think they have some easy ones, but I just don't see Bijan Robinson on a bad Atlanta team getting over 1,100 yards. And Atlanta's probably going to be in some games where they have to abandon the run late. And like you said, Matt, it's not going to be too hard to plan to defend the Falcons. It's stack the box and slow these guys down. I have it as an under as well. I do not take very many overs on these season props. I'm an under machine on season props.
And he just goes under. Wait. This guy's
I do.
Under. He's going to get 1 yard all season. Under. No, I could see it. And you look last year, Tyler Algier had 1,035 rushing yards, and that was with Cordarrelle Patterson. Now I'm guessing they're going to move Cordarrelle Patterson back to wide receiver, so he is going to split with Algier. And I could see it. And certainly, they're going to have less of a running quarterback. It's not going to be Mariota this year. Desmond Ridder barely ran the ball last year, so it'll be interesting to see. But books are highly inflating these numbers for Bijan.
Yeah, and I would also add that the Tyler Algier, don't forget he got over 1,000 yards because they specifically wanted to get him over 1,000 yards. That was a prop in the last. That was like an easy winner for the last game of the year. He had 24 carries for 135 yards because they wanted him to get to 1,000 yards. He was they love him in that building. So, that was only his second 100-yard rushing game of the year. So it's not like they have all of these running backs that are rushing for big time yards. So the 1,000 yards, he got it. He got his bonus, and the Falcons got him over. But took a lot of work in the last half or the last game of the year. I'm not really sure if that's going to be there for Bijan.
Yeah, I don't think it feels really good, Andy, to talk NFL. I could do it 24/7, 365.
Absolutely. We're going to talk NFL probably every week now for until we get to football season. But Matt, I do want to jump to Boston and Miami. Let's jump to NBA. Your head-to-head props, which I never even dabbled in or never even knew they existed on DraftKings. You've been crushing. So I know we got a best bet on those for one of these. But just talk about how you've been navigating those and what you're seeing in the Boston and Miami series.
Yeah, other than the extreme heartbreak that the Sixers gave me, I mean, I turned a profit in five and a half of those 7 games because it was
Nice.
just, you certainly the head-to-heads. And the thing is, when you look at the DraftKings page, like there's about 15 to 20 just in the 3-pointers category. And I feel like, Andy, like you put these two players together. And for those who are not familiar and those who have not been with us every week, DraftKings, which I'm not paid by them. I'm just telling you something, a market that I've noticed. DraftKings does head-to-head props. And basically what they are is they take two players, they put them against each other, and they put them together. And I started noticing it during the NFL season, and I'll definitely play more of it during the NFL season. I did it somewhat with some of the, field goal kickers or things like that. But they put so many out there that they're just not getting them right. And I'll tell you, and this will go along with the best bet, there's some that are just such easy winners. Like one guy will go over by himself, or one guy will have most of it and the other guy will carry it. And so, like this series, I mean, I'm looking at the 3-pointers market. Boston wants to shoot a ton of threes. You got a guy like Max Strus who shoots threes. You got Gabe Vincent who shoots threes. You've got Jimmy Butler occasionally will add a 3 or 2. Kevin Love does. So really the 3-point market in this series, when you've got Joe Mazzulla, they shot like 30-something threes one game against the Sixers. He's like, I want more than that. We got to shoot 50 of them. Well, okay. So then you take advantage of it and try and find the right guy. Now the key is you got to find the right guys and the right numbers and everything, but they put so many 3-pointers out there with regards to that market that I think there is definitely an advantage to finding it here with two teams that like to shoot threes and have plenty of options to do so.
Nice. Yeah, I've been riding Malcolm Brogdon over his points, rebounds, and assists in this series, and I did not play him over last game, and I was glad I didn't because he was 3 PRA short, and on basically the last play of the game, he got an offensive rebound and a putback, which got him over by half. It was the miracle of miracle covers, and we did not play him. So, yeah, I think I still need one more game to kind of look at, but I like this. I like this series for some same game parlays. I'll give you an example in one tonight. Matt is the Miami Heat to score over 97.5 points, combined with Al Horford to have 5 or more rebounds. This is hit in every Celtics versus Heat game. Horford's had 5+ rebounds in 11 straight games. Miami's gone over that point total in every game except one, and that was that game 7 or the closeout game against the Knicks. So I don't see a whole lot of defensive adjustments from both these teams. They seem to be getting their shots whenever they want. Boston is getting lazier and lazier on defense. So I'm with you on the threes. I'm looking at them right now. There are a ton of them. What are the ones that stick out to you, or what players are you liking this series to move on? Because I'm looking at this Brogdon and Jimmy Butler at 3.5, and to me that just screams an over.
That is one of the ones I posted on my Twitter account at MidMajor Matt. That's one of the ones I posted. I also like Vincent to have more threes than Horford, essentially at even money. Look, I'm at even money. I'm going to take a shot that Al Horford has his 1 or 2, and Gabe Vincent can have his 3 or 4. The other one I like is Strus to have more threes than Marcus Smart. I just. Max Strus is a guy who's going to give me 3, and if Marcus Smart isn't taking his threes, he's going to only have maybe 1. So I usually like to combine them, but they've done a good job. The Brogdon one stuck out to me. Now, Jimmy Butler did have several games where he had 0 threes against Boston, but give me 1 Butler 3, and then just give me 3 Brogdon 3s, which he can certainly do. And that was one of the ones I definitely liked in this one.
Nice. Great stuff from Matt Joseph. We're going to get to a best bet just a sec. I wanted to go over a couple of props that you can look for. We've kind of gone over NBA. I was going to take a quick look at NHL. The Stars and the Golden Knights, expect some goals in this one, and they have a prop that is out there. I believe it's you can make it in the same game parlay, or I believe it's a prop that's just available on the domestics. Is will each team score over 1.5 goals? This has been a fantastic prop to take in these series where you expect goals to be scored. I mean, last night, even though the game was 3-2 and 4 overtimes, they both scored over 1.5 goals. So we kind of lay off on Game 7 in NHL. It seems they ramp up the defensive intensity. But if you want to look for something prop really good in NHL, that's been hitting across the board, across multiple series. And then in UFC here, if I can pull up some of the lines, there's a couple props I like in UFC. I really like the Alir Latifi and Rodrigo Nascimento. You can play it to either go the distance, or if you want a parlay piece, you can use to start round 2. I like the Carolina Kolakavitz, I believe is how you pronounce her name, versus Vanessa Demopoulos. That's a great start round 2 piece. And then you've got Fialo and Joaquin Buckley. I have that one to not go the distance. So there's a few in there, and then you have Chase Hooper fighting. Chase Hooper fights always seem to end before the final bell, so you can take a Chase Hooper, Nick Fiore to not go the distance, as well as some props to look for in UFC. So, here we got a question here, Matt. This is for you. Without Hargrave, curious your thoughts on Eagles' defensive line sack props going into this season. Regression, or do they continue to be a force? Question about the defensive line and the sacks for the Philadelphia Eagles.
The problem will be trying to figure out who's going to do it on a game-to-game basis. I mean, you're going to assume Hassan Reddick will probably have a sack, but, with the guys in the middle, with Jalen Carter and you look at Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham had a really great season last year. How much of that was Hargrave? How much was it that he just was finally healthy and had a really good season? You look at some of the other guys. The linebackers are not going to give you a lot of sacks. So I think in certain situations, you maybe look for more of a team prop than an individual prop. Because I don't know, at least early on, other than Reddick, who's going to be that dominant go-to guy. Them as a collective force, they're going to be good, but playing them individually, I don't think you'll be able to. So look at maybe like the over for the team as opposed to individual players.
Nice. I can tell you week 1, I'll be all over the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive players to go over. They play my Colts, and that will be a one-sided track meet, I will tell you right now. So Trevor Lawrence over, running backs over, wide receivers over. So have a be on the lookout for a 5% play in week 1 as soon as those player props in the Colts game come out. That's
I will say this, Andy. You're the one. I am slightly worried about the Eagles' first half team total over. When you give Belichick 3 months to prepare for anybody. Now, look, the one thing I'll say is mobile quarterbacks have had a lot of rushing yards against the Patriots, but I am slightly worried it might take the Eagles a little bit of time to score some points against the Patriots with Bill Belichick having 3 or 4 months to prepare for an opponent.
That thought has crossed my mind, and I definitely was ready to get on board the Eagles' first half team total, and I did see the Patriots. I don't know. Do they have the guns to do it? Like, do they have the personnel to actually do it? I mean, that offense it's incredible. It hit every game last year. It was like by far the MVP of the season. I don't know, man. I feel like that one you kind of just take. And you just roll with it, because I don't think this team feels like a Super Bowl hangover type of team. I think they're on the trajectory up. So I don't know. I may throw caution to the wind. And the Patriots just don't seem like they're as well oiled as they were in the past. So hopefully we get a good price on it. But I think I just have to go back to it just for sheer memory's sake and just to keep the streak alive going. So are you going to join me, or are you going to be worried about that one?
Well, if it's 14 and a half, no. If it's 13 and a half, probably. But I'll just say this. Last year, they opened up in Miami, held Miami to 20 points. The year before that, they opened up at home against Miami, held Miami to 17 points. So we'll see. I mean, I got to see who's injured, who's not injured, what's going on. But it may not be an automatic play week 1 against Belichick. Maybe I'll have to wait until week 2 against Minnesota because Minnesota's defense is horrendous.
There you go. Yeah. Minnesota might actually take the 14 and a half. Seriously. Like that I could see 3 scores in the first half. So we'll see. All right, guys, we're going to get to a best bet. Matt is in charge of the best bet. I have a 5% play in UFC that is up right now, along with a 3% play. We have lacrosse that is up. We'll also have MLB, NBA, NHL, and we have a big soccer play that is going up. Probably a 5% soccer play that will be up by this afternoon. So if you want, just use the promo code ANDY3. That's ANDY3. Get you 3 days for $39. You'll get all 5% plays that we have for this weekend. I think there will be 2 of them along with the other ones. We got a huge weekend in store for everybody. So go grab that at WagerTalk.com. Matt, tell everyone where we can find you at, and let's get to our best bet.
Yeah, starting to turn things around here in baseball. It was a rough start, but we're turning things around a little bit. Nice little K-prop run, and got a couple of K-props that we really like for today. You can find them on sportsmemo.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at MidMajorMatt. That's where you can find one of these, my best bets, listed because it's a NBA head-to-head. And look, I hit this one rather easily in game 1. It was plus 120. They didn't change the number for it, so I'm going to go right back at it. And especially since it's even money, it's a good price play here. We're going with Marcus Smart and Kyle Lowry combined for over 10.5 assists. Marcus Smart went over this by himself last game. Now, I don't think he's going to do that every game, but if I can get 5 or 6 assists from Marcus Smart, I can certainly get 5 or 6 from Kyle Lowry. At even money, I think it's a great opportunity here. Lowry only had 3 assists last game, so I think that's why they're sticking to this number. But like Andy and I talked about it like in previous weeks, for weeks during the Grizzlies-Lakers series, they kept the same number on the LeBron, Jaren Jackson Jr. 3-pointers, and I kept hitting the under every time because it was just keep on hitting. So I don't think Marcus Smart's getting double-digit assists. If he does, we win this bet rather easily. Kyle Lowry will give me more assists than he did last time. So let me take Marcus Smart and Kyle Lowry over 10.5 assists combined at even money on DraftKings.
Love it. Love that you found your little niche here, Matt, with these player head-to-heads. They're absolutely fantastic. It feels like a real hidden market. It's the essence of Prop It Up. So thanks, everybody in the chat. Shout out to Jim, Dan, Scott, Brent, Ayo. Shout out to, who is this mid-major? Oh, that's you, Matt. Sorry. No, for us, Daniel. All you guys, thanks for joining us this morning. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to check out all the shows at WagerTalk TV. I will be on NBA Tip-Off later today. Let's have a great weekend, everybody. Let's make it a profitable one. You can find Matt Joseph's plays on sportsmemo.com, my plays on WagerTalk.com. Have a great weekend, and we will see everyone next week on Prop It Up.
A 7-day all-access pass is a great way to get a week of your favorite WagerTalk handicapper selections for under $15 per day. An all-access pass includes all plays in all sports released from your favorite WagerTalk expert, including any top-rated 5% plays generally priced at $35. Well, we not only made the 7-day all-access better this week, but we made it 50% better. From now through Sunday, May 21st, you can head to your favorite handicappers page and get the 7-11 special, giving you 11 days of all-access service for the same $99 we normally charge you for 7. It's like getting a $59 3-day pass and a $39 1-day pass for free. So pick 1, pick 2, or pick all your favorite handicappers and get their all-access service for the next 11 days for only $9 per day per handicapper.